Morning everybody, how you doing? Welcome back. This is the second video of the day. I hope you're all happy and healthy. I hope you are slightly more informed than I am since the last recording about Harry Kane around whether it's true or not. We shall find out. David Ornstein saying Harry Kane is going and looks like he's out of here for around 100 million. As I said in the last video, I'm presuming, considering the numbers don't look materially different to how they looked a few days ago when Daniel Levy rejected Bayern Munich's approach, you can only assume there's been a change of plan, change of heart. Maybe Harry Kane has said something to the tune of "I will leave if you don't let me go," or maybe the terms and the structural payments are different. Maybe we're getting more up front, and if we are, then that of course would lead you to imagine that there's been negotiations that are going on for other players that we're close to agreeing, and that the terms that have been requested by those teams are such that maybe Tottenham need to have more money up front to go to them, and so require more money up front to come from Bayern Munich. I'm spitballing here, but that's the way my mind is working with regards some of these deals that are being touted with regards Gift Orban. That number looks to be just short of 30 million for a guy who has scored basically a goal a game every game he's played at every level since his career began. You know, it's Erling Haaland type stuff. Obviously I'm not crazy enough to ever consider comparing the two, but when you look at the levels, it's about 0.91 goals per game when he played for Ghent, when he played for his team in Norway, when he's done it at the Europa League, the Conference League, the international circuit. He scores goals everywhere he goes, and he scored a hat-trick just a couple of days ago. Or was it? I think it might have even been last night. The guy for me is a powerhouse. When you see him running with the ball, he looks a little bit like a kind of a less stocky Adama Traore, like structurally, like physically, but the way he runs with the ball reminds me a little bit of Steven Bergwijn, but obviously with a clinical finish. Bergwijn and Traore had no end product, or very little. This guy knows where the back of the net is and finds it with a ridiculous accuracy all the time, and the shot to conversion or the shot to goal ratios are up there. I don't think there's another person in Europe that had a better shot to goal conversion ratio than him last year. I think he only had an XG of like 11 or 12 and yet got 24 goals. So he scored twice as many goals as he should have done based on the difficulty of the chances that were presented to him. That doesn't happen unless you are a clinical finisher, or unless some other anomalies take place, like ridiculous goalkeeping errors, but they don't usually happen to the frequency that you would double your XG. So look, very exciting player, and I'd love to see him come in, offer something different again. You know, I've been saying this quite a lot on the channel and on Savas and Henry's and all the channels I've been going on. To me, unpredictability is always something that you should look to have. The less time your team has, or the less time your opponent's team has to prepare for you because of your predictability, the better. Against Conte's system last year, teams would not have to really, think about a plan B. They would know exactly who Conte was going to select and how we were going to play, and so every moment of those drills on their training ground could be dedicated to perfecting the likeliest outcomes. With an Ange system, yes, there's going to be some levels of predictability in regards narrowing of the fullbacks, and so when they have the ball, they can put the ball into the corners. Obviously, that is something that Tottenham will have to get better at defending, but ultimately, when we have the ball, how the opponents can defend against us will entirely depend on who you have on the pitch. A team with Decky on the right versus Solomon on the right is entirely different. Similarly, a team with Lo Celso in the middle versus Sarr or Maddison is different. Players that play the same spots, the same roles, but have different characteristics and different traits, to me, equals unpredictability and gives Tottenham a slight edge with regards the preparation that the opponents can do. And someone like Gift Orban, for me, is a wonderful talent that offers things that Tottenham don't really have at the moment, and I think would be a wonderful addition to the team. So I'd be very happy to see Harry Kane leave if he was replaced by someone like Gift Orban. I don't know how many more spaces for forwards we have. I don't know what the plan is for Vallejo Beliz. Sorry, mate. I don't know what the obviously how the extent of Brian Hill's injury, what we're going to do in that regard. But we do have a lot of forwards already, and so Gift Orban, I would imagine, probably comes in if we lose Harry Kane, and if we don't lose Harry Kane, then I'd be surprised. I would be surprised. They're not like for like replacements, but I think you can move Sonny central into the 9 and let him compete with Richarlison for that spot. And then Gift Orban you can have floating around and being a utility player similar to someone like Manuel Solomon or Decky, who are probably capable of doing and playing across that forward line. So I'm really excited about that. Next up on the list, Rio Hatate. This guy, Celtic guy, he was left out of the starting 11 for Celtic's opener in place of a different player who's a bit more physically strong and a different stature. The manager of Celtic, Brendan Rodgers, decided to go against it. I don't know if that's just a tactical thing or whether or not it was more of a decision because Tottenham are in talks with Rio Hatate. 90 minutes, I think it's called. One of the journalists from there was making that connection, saying Hatate's not there. Wouldn't surprise him if he goes to Tottenham. That's probably going to happen if we sell Pierre-Emile Hojbjerg. That would be the consequences of selling Hojbjerg. We need to go and find another midfielder. Hatate is the guy who played in the second 8, the kind of Pape Sarr role where Gio was playing against Barcelona, where he comes deep and gets the ball, but ultimately can also pop up at the right end of the pitch. Very technical, very talented, very, very gifted footballer. Lightweight, a real lightweight. Reminds me a little bit of like a Brian Hill kind of physicality. Is that an issue? It wasn't an issue for him in Celtic. So again, just because people are light doesn't mean they can't handle physicality. You saw Luka Modric back in the day. He was moved in from the left into the central by Harry Redknapp. All of Redknapp's coaches said he can't do it. He's too light of a frame. But you know what? Luka Modric learnt how to ride a tackle, learnt how to use his low centre of gravity to rebalance after getting shoved. Brian Hill never really figured that out, or didn't want to. Was more of the player who would like to go down and try and draw fouls. But so Rio Hatate, I think in the end he got something like 4 assists and 8 goals last season in the Scottish Premier League. A really, really good player. Like, reminds me of Luka Modric, if I'm entirely honest. And I think he could go on to big and better things than just Celtic in terms of the level of competition that he's playing. I'd be very happy if he came into Tottenham. Another guy with a different option. So we'll see what happens there. But if the link is just based on the fact that Hatate was left out of Celtic's game day opener, then I think that's a bit spurious. But that's what the reports are going with. Next up, guys, is Per Shuurs, the Torino centre-back. Lots of links with him. Another £25 million story, €25 million story. I don't know what to make of this guy, I'll be entirely honest. I've looked through his highlight reel, his lowlight reel, his everything reel. I've gone through the Y-Scout. I've looked at his stats. His stats to me are very unimpressive. I'll be honest. He doesn't progress the ball. He's very good with like defensive actions. He's an out and out solid defender. He's your typical old school sort of defender in terms of getting the job done defensively. That's the tick. He's good in the air. That's a tick. He's certainly not anywhere near as fast as Mickey van der Ven. He's not slow, but I wouldn't say he's renowned for his pace at all. But the things that you wanted him to do on the ball, I've seen people describe him as like one of the best on the ball defenders. I don't think he is, and the stats don't say he is. And I've looked into his highlight reel, and I can't really see too much evidence of where to support the narrative that he's like a superb ball playing centre back. Haven't seen it. Could be wrong, because I wasn't familiar with the guy, I'll be honest, until I heard his name, saw the links, and then went and did some basic research. And like I say, I'll overlay right now the spidergram, whatever they call them, that kind of supports the statistical report that I'm trying to give to you. that he doesn't really have an impressive on the ball characteristics, at least by the numbers. And like, I haven't seen enough of him to really make a judgment on him as a player, an eye test player. But what I have seen of him, like I say, looks like he's someone who gets the job done, a no-nonsense sort of player. But is he going to be the guy who... And listen, and that might be, for what it's worth, like, you don't need 11 show ponies, right? Sometimes you need your workhorses. Sometimes you just need your... you know, half a team to do those sorts of things, to bring the ball out. Sometimes you just need someone that you can rely on, who's going to be there, who's going to stay back and be solid and, you know, clear up the mess sometimes. And I'm okay with that. Like I say, I don't know who this guy is. I'm not making any judgments on him. I'm just giving you what I've seen and my early thoughts. If he's someone that Tottenham go for, I'll be happy. But you know what? If we've got Harry Kane money of 90 million, something like that, and we're going to spend 30 of it on gift Orban, and you've got 60 left over, I don't want to see that money going back into the accounts. I want to see that money going back into the squad immediately. And for me, look, I've said it before, I have massive concerns about the defensive competence of our fullbacks, but I just don't think you're going to see Tottenham sign another right back this summer. I think we've just bought one, we've just bought two, neither of whom fit the system. In fact, three of our most recent signings, really. Emerson Royale was only a couple of years ago as well. Like, three of our most recent signings have been right backs. I don't really think any of them are perfect fits. Emerson fits the mould probably better than the other two. But there are people out there who I think would be absolute superstars who you could go and get if you could convince them. And that's another conversation. And I don't think that we're going to improve on our left back spot. So unless something ridiculous happens in that regard, unless there's a real opportunity, maybe to go and get a Kyle Walker-Peters who could play utility, then I think we're stuck with what we have in that regard. So I'm happy for Daniel Levy in Tottenham to go out and go big on another centre-back. Love to get Edmund Tapsoba in. Obviously, Edmund Tapsoba, as of yesterday, has been heavily linked with Manchester United. That would be a kick in the teeth if we miss out on him, especially if we miss out on him at a price point that was relatively affordable. But these are the things that happen in transfer windows, you know. It happens all the time. So we'll see where else we can go. Obviously, Tosin's still out there. There's a few other links to a few other players that are emerging. But Shuurs seems to be the growing name. And again, I'm okay with it. Young player. If someone somewhere has looked at the model, used data analysis that we're supposed to be doing, or if it's just Ange Postecoglou has seen it and said, nah, he's my guy, then I'm good with it. I don't know, I'm just a YouTuber. I'm not the guy who gets paid the big bucks. So we'll wait and see what happens there. But yeah, interesting times, guys. Interesting times. Gift Orban, Rio Hatate, Shuurs. Is there a 6 we could go and get as well? Do we need a 6? Have we got too many midfielders? We have a lot of midfielders. The only outgoing news that's been confirmed is Joe Rodon, another player, another centre-back that's out the door. And the last piece of news I forgot to talk about is the potential swap deal, the story that won't go away. Davinson Sanchez plus 12 million, and we would get Victor Nelson from Galatasaray. This story just will not go away, guys. And I mentioned about Victor Nelson about 100 times before. Do I like him? I think he's a wonderful player with the ball at his feet. I don't think there's a better long ball playing centre-back I've ever seen in terms of consistency of accuracy. But I don't know how often Ange Postecoglou is going to want to see that centre-back doing that. He likes to play, you know, triangle football, one-touch passing, not long balls into gaps. So again, maybe it's an option. Maybe it's just having a little bit of variety is the spice of life. We've spoken about that ad nauseum now, but I'd be very surprised if that was one of the final signings of the window. Lots to talk about though, guys. I mean, by the time you watch this, you may have already seen the live show, or you'll be seeing it later on. But in any event, I'll see you very, very soon. Please like, please subscribe, please comment, and as always, guys, bye bye.